In this presentation, we will take a look at Medicare calculations within QuickBooks. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info. Here we are on the home page. We currently have the open windows open. In order to open the open windows, we select the view drop-down and the open windows list. We're going to start off by going to the payroll items list by selecting the lists drop-down, and we're going to go to the payroll item list. The payroll item list, these are the payroll items that are going to help QuickBooks to know how to make the calculations for the various items within payroll, as well as to know how to record them in terms of reports and financial statements. We are now here on the Medicare, the other portion of the FICA taxes, and it's similar in some ways to Social Security, in that we have a company portion and an employee portion. A little bit complex in that regard, however, it is a federal tax and therefore somewhat standardized. QuickBooks will set this up as we set up the interview process in a fairly systematic way. In other words, as we go through the employee and payroll setup process, it will then set up these payroll items for us. We don't need to do too much adjustments. We'll go through that setup process in a later presentation. We have the rates here at 1.45 for both the employee and the employer, and that's going to be our normal setup for the Medicare. Let's take a look at a couple paychecks for them. We're going to go to the banking drop-down and use register, banking and use register. We're going to say OK. We'll first pick up the Judy Jones paycheck here. So this is the first paycheck for Judy Jones. She started at the end of the year. We started paying her at the end of the year in this example problem. So we'll double click on this item and then we'll go to the paycheck detail. And so here is our information. We're looking here at the Medicare, and there's an employee and employer section. Notice it's a lot smaller than the Social Security in terms of dollar amount, and that's because the percentage is smaller. It's basically going to be a flat tax for the most part. So we're going to have, in this example, the 41,666.67 of pay in this pay period times the rate of 0.0145. So 1.45%, 0.0145, and that'll give us our 604.17 rounded. And so we have that on the employee portion and on the employer portion. We'll have that same amount on this side. That's how it will be recorded, this side coming out of the paycheck, being paid by the employee, although we as the employer are responsible for taking it from the employee and then paying it. This over here being paid over and above what the gross pay amount is that we are paying the employee. So note that the calculation generally isn't too difficult for the most part for the Medicare, and it's going to be pretty standardized for a much larger zone because it doesn't have the same type of cap, although we could have added Medicare taxes for high earners, something like over 200,000, we might have some added Medicare. So let's take a look at some examples where it could be a little more complex. If we close this back out, and we go into, let's say, Anthony above that paycheck, the paycheck above, and double click on that item and the paycheck detail. We'll note that Anthony has a lot more in terms of items, including dental, vision, health insurance, term life insurance, and HSA, and the union dues and the garnishments. And some of these items could impact the Medicare calculation. Most of them do not. But there could be some that do, and we'll go through and discuss them as we put this problem together. But just be aware that even the Medicare can be a bit more complex. So 4,000 plus the 37.5 in this case is the gross pay. If we multiply that times our rate, 0.0145, then we would think that the Medicare should be the 58. And if we look at the Medicare, then it's 63. So there's something else going on here in this particular example. So this is just an example to note that even with this kind of flat tax, which should be easier for the most part, it can be a little bit more complicated if we have a bunch of different employees and if we have a lot of different types of benefits, which is one of the advantages of payroll. We want to give benefits. So those could make the tax of Medicare, which is typically one of the more flatter and easier tax to calculate, a little bit more complex. I'm going to close this out, One more example, if we take a look at Judy's final paycheck, Judy Jones' final paycheck, and she got a bonus here. I'm going to go to the Paycheck Detail. So now she's got this bonus, and now in Medicare, that's going to push her over the cap. So now she's got the normal tax calculation for Medicare, and instead of reducing the tax as Social Security does when the cap is reached, this would be $200,000 plus the 41,666.67 times the rate 1.45% is going to give us that 3,504. So that still is being calculated. That makes sense. But there's also this added tax up here of $750. So unlike Social Security, where you hit the cap and then you stop paying the Social Security, with regard to the Medicare, you hit the cap and you could have an additional rate that needs to be paid on the money over a certain dollar amount. And we'll take a look at that in our example problem. For more accounting information and accounting courses, visit our website at accountinginstruction.info.